Hi, I'm Bernie Slavin and you're watching Butler Sports TV.
Almost 2 years ago I was here at the Seaton Carew Dome to film one of the first ever walking football matches in the North East. Today I'm back for the inaugural Home International Championships. Before we could begin, there was a minute's silence in aid of the Remembrance Weekend. Representing Scotland at this tournament was the Scottish champions Montrose. They arrived as one of the favourites certainly to win this competition with a strong squad, having had a really good tournament back up in Scotland. Wales were perhaps the underdogs in this event, and they were represented by Merthyr Tydfil, who won the Welsh competition. Although they did arrive actually with the largest squad of players and hopeful obviously of causing us an upset. Of course, England there were represented by the English champions Herne Bay. They're only crowned champions just a few weeks ago, and they certainly arrived as probably slight favourites to lift this title. The opening game saw Merthyr Tydfil of Wales in the red shirts play Herne Bay of England in the blue and white stripes. Wales kicked off the competition, but in the end it was England who left the game with all 3 points. It was a throw out there by the goalkeeper, found its way to Neil Davey. He beat his man really well before drilling a left foot shot into the far corner of the net to make it 1-0 to England, and that was actually the way it finished. It was actually a really good goal from Davey there. He did really well to work the ball across his body onto his left foot, and that was an unstoppable shot there into the far corner of the net. The second game saw Wales again in action. This time they were facing Montrose of Scotland. Wales now of course obviously desperately needing a win, but once again they fell to a single goal. This time it was Scotland's Scott Brown with the finish there into the corner of the net to give Scotland the perfect start as well, with a 1-0 victory. The ball there was moved across to Scott Brown there on the far side. And that was a first time shot into the Wales net to make it 1-0. The third game was of course the big one, England versus Scotland again. Of course they played each other for real on Friday. And England this time was in the red shirts due to the colour clash. And again it was England who won the game 1-0, and again it was Davey with the goal. That was another neat finish, this time with his right foot. After a quick restart there from England. It was a kick in there. It fell to Davey there at the near post, and he drew the ball into the far corner of the net, and that made it 2 wins out of 2 for England. Were virtually guaranteed of being in the final. Wales now faced England, and Wales of course were desperate now for the points if they were to have any chance of progressing. But again it was England who won the game 1-0, and this was actually the best goal of the tournament. Some really good passing from England there down the right hand side, and in the end the ball falls to David Petts at the far post, and he took a nice touch and a cool finish to put England 1-0 ahead, and that was actually how that game finished. So England had won all their games to qualify for the final. This was a really good goal, and it's an excellent finish there, nice and cool there past the goalkeeper from David Petts. So the final group game here saw Wales play in Scotland. Wales of course had to win to go through, whereas Scotland only needed a draw. But in the end it was Scotland who got the victory there with that goal. Again it was Scott Brown with the finish, and that was enough to give Scotland a victory and put them in the final. Again it was a really good goal. There were some good finishes in this tournament, and that one typified it there into the top corner. So we moved on to the final then. Again, it was the old enemies playing each other, England against Scotland. England again in the red shirts. Scotland actually started this final really well, but in the end it was England who ran out comfortable winners. They took the lead after just 5 minutes in actual fact. It was a quick free kick here which caught out the Scotland defence. In the end it was a shot from David Grindlestone there that went into the far corner of the net. And that gap put England 1-0 up, to say, after 5 minutes. Scotland were perhaps expecting a shot there. Instead, the ball comes there to Grindlestone, and that is a very good finish there across the goalkeeper into the far corner, putting England in control. It was then 2-0 just before half-time. Scotland were the architects of their own downfall there. It was a poor throw-out by the goalkeeper. And it was David Gillam there with a finish, back in his hometown of Hartlepool, where of course he's now living down south at home, playing for Herne Bay. He was brought up in this part of the world. And obviously he definitely felt at home there. It was a nice turn actually there, and a really good finish. And that put England well in control by half-time. It was actually much the same in the second half. England grabbed the third goal, and again it was Gillam with the finish. Again he showed a good turn of pace there and a drilled shot across the goalkeeper at the near post, and that made it 3-0, which put the seal on the cup there. Again it was good play from Gillam, obviously knows these surroundings. The goalkeeper maybe thought he could have done a bit better at near post, but it was another good goal, and that sealed the cup for England.
I'd like to present the awards and the trophy to UK champions, England, Herne Bay.
Interesting year since we sort of started, just over a year since we started at Herne Bay, and we started off playing in the Kent Walking Football League, which unfortunately lost to Folkestone by 1 point, but then we went to Holland and won the Almelo Cup, and then this has topped it all, winning the Nationals and the English Nationals and now the British Nationals. It's been a great year. I don't know what we're going to do with all these trophies. We need a new trophy cabinet. But it's all good part of Herne Bay Football Club anyway.
And obviously it helps the growth of walking football as well, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the way it's already developed over the last year, and I think particularly with the Football Association getting involved now with the new rules and regulations next February, it'll change. I think it will change. I just hope it doesn't lose the spirit of the thing. Once you start to get a bit more regulated, but it's a good thing. I mean, there's so many problems with different rules, with different ways of playing. It'd be much better when there's a sort of a set structure for walking football. Everyone can play the same way.
Yeah. And obviously it was competitive today as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well that's it. I mean, I've got a competitive team. There's no doubt about that. They're all, most of them are all semi-pros. And I think we've proved that probably we're just the strongest there is out there. But I think if they do play it fairly, they do play. I mean, they play it strongly, but they do play fairly.
What a culmination of a couple of years' vision and some hard work from people behind the scenes. Yeah, tremendously proud.
It was a good competitive tournament as well, wasn't it?
It was, and played in a great spirit. And fair.
I mean, where do you see kind of walking football progressing now from here?
To build on what we've done here and keep that going, and provide a big name behind the tournament. Perhaps the Euros in, I think, probably 2 years' time. It really depends on how the individual countries progress, because the 3 countries that have supplied teams today have won their national championship. And I think for a bona fide tournament that has to happen abroad as well.
I mean, I filmed a game here a couple of years ago in the very early kind of stages of it, and you can see today the progress that's been made in the way it's run and the rules of the game, etc.
Yes, and this February the FA have stepped up and are going to supply a standardised set of rules, which will stop all the consternation about having to adapt to different tournament rules up and down the country, which is a great initiative from the FA.
So is this going to be a regular tournament then here?
It'll be a regular tournament, but I think on a rotary basis, where next year it'll be either Scotland or Wales, and the English teams will travel over to play there.